Welcome to the FF Forge. We're going to start Rankings Day off with the quarterbacks. My name is Steve, and I will be releasing a video for each of the main four positions, quarterback, tight end, wide receiver, running back, throughout the day, roughly 2 hours apart from each other all day. So please check out those other videos, depending on when you watch this. They probably are already released. These are temporary rankings. There will be changes made throughout the week, especially if, something major comes across the news wire on anyone. But for the most part, the quarterback rankings don't get shuffled around too much. Like last week, I had a couple of bold calls that I changed, like Aaron Rodgers going up ahead of PJ Walker because I just had a feeling that the Packers were actually going to have a pretty good game. Moved him up a little bit just to reflect my gut feeling. And if you want to see those updated rankings, you can go up onto my website, www.theffforge.com, which there is a link down in the description for. These rankings will all get put up onto the website by as early as I can on Thursday, and I think that's enough. So let's just get into it. First of all, looking over here on the left, you are seeing it's a projected ranking over here. That it's the only spot that you will see them in this order, as I will move them into this order for up on the website. But this projected ranking does do pretty darn good, I will say, on its own. So don't be afraid to take that in for a little bit if you like something there. And then also over here to the left is a temperature gauge. So all here, red is going to be good, blue is bad. Sorry if that confuses you, but it fits in with my Forge theme. I might update that next year, but for now, that's how we're keeping it. So this is the temperature gauge, and obviously it's just a reading of how good the matchup is, how good we think they're going to perform. One way I do like to use it, especially for like DFS, is in combination with these ceilings here. If a Russell Wilson were to be super cheap, and say, well, he's got a pretty decent ceiling, he's got a good matchup that he could hit or surpass that ceiling in, so I'll give it a try. And obviously, like for other positions, it can be, it's worked in helping me find some darn good discounts on DFS. I'll say that. So that's how I prefer to use those the most. I also help to use, they help me in my rankings a little bit too. And then here is just an expected range, which is just like a normal projection, but it is a range instead of a single number, which I don't think tells you a whole lot, to be honest, because what are the odds that number's correct? Let's just get us started here with this week's rankings. Starting at the top, I have Justin Fields ranked at number 1, followed by Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, Joe Burrow, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, and to wrap it out, I have Kyler Murray at 12th. Something that I have added this week is kind of a starting little notification here. So from 1 to 5, from Justin Fields to Josh Allen, those are just my must starts. Unfortunately, it's possible that you could have 2 of those guys in there. In that case, hey, Justin Fields is going up against Atlanta this week. You gotta love that. So between that, a little bit of some injury concerns, which have caused a few interceptions for Josh Allen going on, and matchups and whatnot, given Justin Fields my faith for one more week here in a kind of fashion I would have never guessed preseason, that's for sure. I mean, I didn't hate Justin Fields. I had him pretty well preseason ranked, but crazy to have him just even in this top 5 feels crazy. Luckily, there aren't going to be a whole lot of players to talk about, but the main players that we're going to talk about are the ones that I have in red or green. Red is going to mean that I have them below the ECR. The ECR is the expert consensus ranking, so here you can see I have him 3 spots below the ECR. I have him at 9th. The ECR is 6th. Going up against Pittsburgh this week, not a great matchup. That's really the main reason that I moved him down a little bit. That combined with the loss of Jamar Chase has brought some mixed results for how good that offense has looked. I'm just a little less high on Joe Burrow than the experts, but he's still right here in this. I'm comfortable starting them ranking here. So from Dak Prescott to number 16, there's 16 quarterbacks who I feel all are good plays. I'm not looking to replace them, that's for sure. And at number 12, I have Kyler Murray, 2 spots ahead of the ECR. The ECR on him is 14. I do believe that this is largely to do with some concerns of whether Kyler Murray will be playing or not. I know I looked, he was further back, like earlier on in the day, even before I grabbed these rankings, so he may have moved up even further. So there's really nothing to talk about. Obviously, he has good value. I don't love the matchup, don't love him this week, but he's fine. And that brings us to my quarterback twos. But once again, all the way up to Jared Goff here, I think are all in kind of one tier, you could say. Jimmy Garoppolo starts off at number 13 for my QB2s, followed by Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Jared Goff, and then we have a teardrop too. Jacoby Brissett at 17, followed by Derek Carr, Kenny Pickett, Taylor Heineke, Andy Dalton, Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan, and to wrap it up, I have Matt Stafford ranked at 24th. Not too bad, Matt. Moving up in my rankings for no reason that he didn't play last week. So yeah, we'll see if he plays this week, by the way. Now let's move up to Jimmy Garoppolo, who I have 2 spots behind the ECR. The ECR has him at 11. I have him at 13. It's going up against Arizona. It's a divisional matchup. I tend to think those two, they usually play each other fairly well. Not always the lowest of scoring games, but there's I'd say a mixed history with those teams. Whatever the case, I'm not expecting some big blow-up game. And most of all, it's just this floor that if that running game for San Fran gets going, I'm just holding him back a little bit more than the experts. And of course, the experts will probably have him one spot lower than that at least. So let's move on to Jacoby Brissett, who I have 2 spots ahead of the ECR. The ECR on him is 19. I have him at 17. Going up against Buffalo, so they're not, as tough of a matchup as they were all of last season and into this season until they started to get banged up. And I don't believe they're expected to be like all of a sudden super much, healthier this week. Some of the guys that they've lost for the season. So there is some upside to that matchup that, once again, we can hope that Jacoby can take advantage of. He didn't take advantage of it as much as I wanted him to last week against Kansas City. I'm going to give him another shot here with this kind of higher ceiling compared to some of the compadres over here. I do like that. And the other reason that I have him ranked a little bit higher is some of the guys like Derek Carr, who I have 3 spots behind the ECR. The ECR on him is 15. I have him at 18, and it has pretty much everything to do with Denver, and of course, not trusting that offense. It has not been a complete offense, and they actually, I think, since about week 4, seem to take a step back around that period of time and haven't really found themselves. So hope they do. I think the league's better when Las Vegas is good, especially with some of the players on that team. But I would not put my money on it being this week where Derek Carr is going to get you a lot of points. That Denver defense has made a lot of great teams look meh. So, that pushed Derek Carr down for me. Then Taylor Heineke, I have 2 spots behind the ECR. The ECR is 18 on him. I have him at 20 going up against Houston. Houston's one of those teams that you look at and you say, oh, that's a great matchup, but no, it's really not. Teams tend to run on them a lot, and so quarterbacks, most of all, just don't have very big games against them. I expect that to continue this game, and there is a possibility that Taylor Heineke does not play this week, but I do think he earned himself at least one more game to allow Carson Wentz to get to full health. That'll be the narrative that will be fed in the media. I'm sure Carson Wentz could probably go this week, but I don't think he will. Not super excited to get Taylor Heineke out there this week against Houston. Then Andy Dalton, I have 2 spots ahead of the ECR. I have him at 21. The ECR on him is 23. Going up against the Rams, they've been a pretty darn good matchup, actually, as of late, pretty much this season, and they seem to be getting worse. So I like Andy Dalton as much as I could like him this week, especially after last week. It was pretty crappy, but, just like Tyler Higbee last week, I said, hey, been a couple of rough weeks, but I trust it to come back around to some extent, at least. The same thing for Andy Dalton. And let's finish this up with the final 4 in the quarterbacks this week. Starting off with Zach Wilson at 25, followed by Davis Mills, Baker Mayfield, and Mac Jones. These guys are all going to be in my bottom tier of I don't really want to be starting them if I can avoid it. So especially for 2 quarterback leagues, if you can get up into some of these guys, that'd be all the better. For Zach Wilson, I have him 2 spots ahead of the ECR. The ECR is 27. I have him at 25 going up against New England. Didn't they do okay against New England just a couple of weeks ago? I believe so. But whatever the case, a lot of times I just kind of start to trust my rankings unless I really feel strongly about somebody at this point. So like for Matt Stafford, this is the first time where I'm like, hey, I think he might have a decent week, which is really weird when Cooper Kupp's gone from there. If you do have any start sit questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, or you can come and visit me live on Sunday, 1 hour prior to kickoff. I will also come out with a video on Saturday, my Saturday report, go through some of the news reports that I've gathered up throughout the week, go through the injury report as of Friday evening, and my steel stock scrap portion, which is a start 'em, sit 'em, boom, bust type thing. So check that out. That seems to be my most popular video. So keep pumping those watches on those. That really helps people get exposed to the channel. Like, subscribe, all that. But check out my videos later on today at the other positions. And if you have any questions on any players, just ask. Thank you very much. Peace out.